Alright, a couple of battles later, and would you look at that? We have wiped out the entire army of Japan. At this point, I may as well just occupy the entire island. Ah, how sweet is the taste of victory. Nice capital there, you wouldn't mind if I just... Hey, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Quarbit, and welcome to a mod spotlight for the expanded mod family. Today's video is part of a greater March Modness series that we have going on for the month of March, where I check out a whole bunch of mods. Last time I checked out 10 really great Iron Man ones, so go check that out if you haven't already. But I really wanted to cover this mod family because there's quite a lot to get through here, as you can see by the different categories. But I figured today we'd cover it a little differently than normal. You see, I could just script the whole video and read it off to you like a lecture, but I don't know how you guys are feeling, but I certainly feel like I've gone through enough lectures recently. So instead, I'm going to be picking a nation and just playing through the mission tree, because why the hell not? And I'll just go ahead and explain everything in each mod as we actually get to it. Now, you can probably already tell from the title of this video, but yes, we're going to be going ahead and playing the wonderful nation of Ainu. Now, if you haven't played with the expanded family, oh boy, you are in for quite a treat. You see, the expanded family adds quite a couple of extra interesting features. Of course, you know, you got a bunch of ideas and stuff, a bunch of new things to work with over here. On top of that, we have Missions Expanded, which is by far one of my favorite mods in this family. The mod description claims to have over 300 mission trees. And although I don't exactly know if that's true, there is a really long list of mission trees, so I'm just sort of feeling like I'll believe them. Anyways, the one for today's focus is going to be Ainu's mission tree, which I found to be rather unique and quite interesting. So we're going to be playing through that, and hopefully a little bit further than this mission tree, but I wouldn't say too much further. There are also a bunch of decisions to enact here. I'm not going to get too much into them. Basically, a bunch of new trade goods. Just add them in. There are also two interesting ones over here. There's the empowered requirements. This is for the government's expanded. I don't even know how to describe these things. Basically, they're influences in your court based off of whatever reforms you take. And then the types of reforms you take can compound into these empowered reforms, which can give you even more interesting things. You'd basically have to read through it though, because god is it tedious to look through. And then development expanded. This is where things get really crazy. There are a bunch of different decisions you can go through here. You can really read a bunch of these yourself. But one of the important things to note is that development will often just grow by itself. The most interesting part by far, though, is dynamic cultures. But that's enough of the random setup stuff. Let's get into this nation. The goal as Ainu here is to actually go ahead and begin the great journey. This is when stuff starts to get interesting for us. But for now, we're going to be pushing our stability to 3 and trying to improve our naval force limit and such. Alright, we can complete our first mission here, which gives us just a little bit of morale for 100 years. Oh yeah, it might be a good point to mention that we're also not feudal yet. So one of the first things to do here might be moving my capital over, and then we're gonna have to dev the hell out of it. Alright, well that sure took a long time, but we finally got ourselves feudalism, so that's a good start. Now I'm gonna go ahead and try to grab that last stability so that I can unite the clans and give our homeland a little bit of extra power to work with. Alright, there we go. We can grab ourselves clan unity. Now that we have some somewhat decent income, I think I might try and go ahead and buy one single heavy. And let's get ourselves a little more tax real quick. Alright, we've got one heavy on the way. That'll take about 2 years to complete. And once it's done, I can set up a Siberian frontier in Sakhalin. There we go, we got our very first heavy, which sets up our very first colony in Sakhalin. Once that's done, we can go ahead and grab ourselves a colony over in the Kurils as well. Now one of the best parts of playing as Ainu here is that we don't really need a strong army. All we need is a pretty decently sized navy, and then we can take anything we want in Hokkaido. Alright, with all of our troops at the ready, I think it's just about time we declare war. As previously mentioned, we don't really need a sizable army as Ainu. All we need is a good navy. Think of it like you're playing Budget Britain or something, I don't know. But all I have to do is sit here and wait for them to give up. In the meantime, I'll be saving up my points, because eventually we'll be moving our capital over to here. Ah, finally. Only 8 years after the start of this war, I can finally take that province. See, easy. We hardly had to even break a sweat. Now with this mission, we get to instantly core it, change the name, and swap its religion. And now, the real fun begins. See, we have this mission called the Great Journey. Now, if you'd like to, you can go ahead and just read this whole event here, but I'm just going to go ahead and show off the 2 paths here. We can emulate the feudal system of Japan and become a monarchy, or we can go our own way and become Azo, which is a republic. I'm personally more interested to see how a republic is going to survive out here in the Far East, surrounded by a ton of different monarchies. So we're going to become the bastion of republican democracy in the Far East. With our new traditions and ambitions, we have formed Azo. Alright, neat. What do we do as Azo here? Well, we don't actually get any new missions, unfortunately, so we're going to be using the same ones. But we do get some fancy new ideas, including things that are quite powerful, like yearly republican tradition, a free administrative policy, an extra colonist, naval morale, army morale, discipline, fort defense, national unrest. I mean, the whole thing is quite nice. Now, just for the extra fun, we're going to become a common republic, which is essentially no different from an oligarchy, except you get a new estate called the peasants. We're also going to become a mixed republic here because what I like is that extra reform progress growth. Now the peasants is a very interesting estate here because what I like is the fight the elite here, which gives you plus 5% morale of armies while at war with monarchies. It's actually pretty unique, I like it. You can also increase your re-election cost and stability modifier to get yourself some more republican tradition each year, which I quite like. And now that our capital has been moved over here, we have a brand new spot to develop this next institution here, so let's get started on that. Ah yes, we're starting to see the very beginning of cultures where they very much should not be. I wonder what this is doing here. I also shouldn't forget that we're kind of alone here, so it's probably a good idea to try and be friends with the people around us. But we've gone ahead and grabbed ourselves the Renaissance real quick, and now no one else has it, and it's going to spread very slowly over here in Ando anyway. Now this is interesting. We've actually been called into our second offensive war, this time by Korea. Alright, I guess I should accept. You know what? I might as well just get rid of this guy while I'm here. Okay, well, they gave me land. Technically, like, it's not wrong, but like, that's just wrong, man. Speaking of wrong, one of these things is not supposed to be here. Oh, you thought it ended there? Oh, it gets worse. I'd say it's about time for the great people of Azo to go and discover the new world. There are many things to see and do in this lifetime, and I'm not going to waste it in the frigid mountains of Hokkaido. Okay, so it looks like Ashikaga has just declared on us here. Now it says we need to show superiority, and even though it's a trade war, I'm guessing that sort of implies we need to win at land instead of at sea, which is kind of weird, but well, we'll just keep on slapping their ships anyway. Well, that was the largest navy all of Japan had, so yeah, that's gonna be it. That's gonna be it for them. Well, they did want to show superiority, so I guess we'll have to do some fighting. Okay, well now I can negotiate a peace with Ashikaga. I'm just not exactly sure what I want to take. And it also looks like Korea is mobilizing on my border, which is worrying. So I'm probably just gonna take this little piece of land and a bunch of money, because we know that I'm definitely gonna need it. And then just really quickly, I'm gonna try and ally Korchin. I know what you're up to, Korea. You're not slick. There it is, I told you, I knew it. Now, Korea does have a very, very large navy, but most of that is comprised of just a whole bunch of transports. There we go. And with 6 captured ships. Sheesh. Alright, well this should be enough to establish a little bit of naval superiority over Korea. It's a tough-fought battle at sea here, but we're slowly starting to win it. Alright, well, Korchin didn't do much, but they were a great distraction while I got my next military tech. And it's probably a good time to get war taxes finally. What surprises me the most is that Korea happens to have 31,000 men. Their force limit is literally double mine. In that case, I don't have much of an option but to hire a whole company. I'll just go drop a quick stack wipe. Now Korea has fewer men than I do. Now, Korea's a bit of a tough one. I'm not exactly prepared to siege down a mountain fort right now, but I can take this little island down here, so if I'm taking anything, it's that and a little bit of money. Alright, time for our next idea group. As the Grand Republic we are, I think plutocratic ideas would suit us pretty well. Alright, just pieced out the Kamchadals right there for some nice land. That'll give me some extra points as well. And I've got just about a year to try and discover the Americas, although I think at this point it's not even possible. We were this close to greatness. So close. Just imagine. 4 months too late. Alright, now I may not have the strongest army, but I have a large navy, some money, and the will to succeed. So if I don't get invaded by Korea, you bet I'm gonna be invading Japan. Great success to start off with. Beautiful stack wipe. And the next big battle. And so, after a long and tough war, I think we've finally been able to achieve a victory over Japan here today. Alright, now that we've decisively won this war, we can take a little bit of extra land. I think these 2 full states would be nice. So now that we've gotten pretty far, let's do a quick update on a little bit of the mod features. So, for the reforms I've been taking so far, the ones that I've taken are so that I can get more of the populist influence in the court. The reason why is so that I can go ahead and grab myself one of these things over here. If I have 3 populist court influence in the court, then I can happen to grab myself a tier 7 consolidation of power. Now, compared to the other 2 things we have here, you can see that this is just significantly better as a mechanic. Another reason why I want to keep going through populist influence is because eventually I can go and grab the tier 8 reform. So that's what I'm hoping to achieve. Now, if you remember, Ming had like 1.1 thousand development at the beginning of the game, or something kind of like that. But now we can see they have, well, a little more. So development expanded just sort of seeks to make areas passively richer, which means by the end of the game, you actually won't be able to take nearly as much as you could maybe towards the beginning. But anyway, back to the gameplay. Oh baby, I think I have hit the jackpot. Alright, I think it's just about time we move our capital once again. We do have colonialism to spawn here, and I didn't get it, so once again we're gonna have to develop a little bit. Oh, is someone having a little civil war? Oh, poor Hokucho. That'll just make it all the easier to invade you. Well, the truce with Hokucho and Ando just came up, so you know the rules and so do I. Alright, a couple of battles later, and would you look at that? We have wiped out the entire army of Japan. At this point, I may as well just occupy the entire island. Ah, how sweet is the taste of victory. Nice capital there, you wouldn't mind if I just... My Grand Consul, we have sent a highly cultured letter to Korea. However, they have somehow interpreted it as an insult. Another successful campaign. I wonder how many more of these we'll have to go through. Looks to me like it's at least 3. Alright, next idea group. I think we're gonna have to go with religious on this one. I do plan to stay animist for the memes, so we're gonna need that extra missionary strength. Now, occasionally provinces will convert by themselves without any influence. I'm just not exactly sure what kind of a timer that's on, so... Hey, there we go, we got our first colony done. One of these things is not like the others. One of these things just doesn't belong. Well, it looks like we've discovered a little bit more of the West over here, and I'm not liking that name placement of Britain. There we go, we got our very first natural conversion of a province over to Ainu culture. I thought maybe you had to have one started off so that it would, like, have a chain, but clearly it's not necessary in some cases. Oh god, oh no. Please, no. Maybe there are some things in this world you should just never know about. There we go, just boosted up that missionary strength so we can really get started on that conversion. Alright, time for our 7th reform here, which will be empowered consolidation of power. This is the thing that we were looking forward to for a long time here. This will give us monthly autonomy change and yearly absolutism, and every time we re-elect, we get 2 absolutism. So the time has come upon us once again. This will be the third last war, hopefully, for the remainder of Japan. Alright, this is all I can take in this war. You know, for all the time that I've spent here in the buildings menu, I don't think I ever actually scrolled down to show you guys what's in here. Yeah, there's actually quite a lot more than I may have mentioned. The only thing about these ones is that a lot of them actually require a certain amount of innovativeness to create. But yeah, with these buildings you can create things like advanced goods. Well, in this case they're called latent goods, but these are the kinds of things that don't actually spawn at the beginning of the game. You're gonna have to create these special factories for them. And some of them even stack. For instance, you're gonna need a source of bronze, and well, to get a source of bronze you're gonna need a source of tin, and you're gonna need to put a copper alloy foundry and all that stuff. I mean, yeah, it's actually pretty advanced. In the end, these goods just have higher values usually, and if you have enough of them you'll get some really nice modifiers. Like admin efficiency for jewelry is absolutely broken. Oh, and you can also start mining for things. Basically, you spend a little bit of Diplo and a little bit of money, and you can try to find metal in certain areas. This is especially good if you're working with like really poor resources, and getting a metal would be just better in every way. Now, there is a really high chance to fail, so you might end up wasting a large number of Diplo points on this, but I mean, it's really up to you. Anyway, it's been 15 years and this institution isn't really going anywhere, so I think it's probably within our best interest to just develop it again. Hey, it only took like 70 years, but finally we have our very own Alaskan colony. I feel it's only right to name this beautiful frigid wasteland after our amazing president here, Henry Kurazi. So if we just change a couple of letters around here, we get Kuraska. Well, it's a good thing we just named it after him because he just kicked the bucket. As for our next age ability, I think I'd actually go with floating batteries. Because let's be honest, that religious war score is not going to save this mess. Okay, it's the third day of recording this campaign. I think I'm ready to finally conquer the rest of Japan. My PC is suffering extreme lag, and I was really kind of worried about why that's happening until I looked over to the west and I saw that, oh, the League War's happening right now. So now my PC is literally stuttering as it tries to keep up with the sheer number of troops being deployed. But I won't be deterred. I would sooner have my PC explode than to stop playing this glorious campaign. Okay, on second thought, I think they fixed everything. Alright, not a bad war, I just sort of wish I could have, you know, annexed the whole thing. But we did technically manage to unite the Isles, so that means we get discipline and aggressive expansion for the rest of the game. And it turns out they're actually willing to defend their tributary here, so off to war we go again. Now, unfortunately, I can't full annex them, but I can at least keep Korea from getting their hands on it. There we go. And then finally we have the main man himself. Ah, there we go. That final province just flipped to Ainu culture in Japan, so I get some free missionary strength for the rest of the game. Now all that's left to do on this mission tree is to subjugate the Manchu tribes, which is going to be a little harder than I might have thought. Okay, well this is something I definitely didn't expect. Well, I sort of knew that Ming was going to attack Korea, but I didn't really know that I was going to get involved in the whole thing. So this is kind of awkward. Well, of course I'm gonna say yes, but only because I plan to take land from them. Ming keeps giving me the occupied land he doesn't want, but little does he know, I'm about to betray this guy. You don't mind if I just... Well, I'm sure they won't totally be mad about that one. So, now I've gone ahead and completed the entire mission tree for Azo. Does that mean I'm gonna stop here finally after like, you know, 9 hours of recording? Of course not. Nope, instead it's time to press further on and go past the borders of Japan just like we did here in Manchuria. It's gonna be a little weird having to fight Korea every time Ming wants his tribute, but I mean, I can work with it. And there are, of course, other places to invade. And while it would be nice to go ahead and actually do that whole conquering thing, yeah, instead I'm gonna have to colonize Hawaii first. And again, for some reason, I don't know why Ming thinks I'd be helpful in a war like this. I mean, fine, I guess I'll help again, but obviously I'm gonna take the land. Okay, on to our Tier 8 reform finally, which is the one I've been waiting a long time for, and that is our Empowered Principle of Power. It has a minor unique ability where after 10 years of ruling, my ruler gains -1 unrest and -25% stability cost for the rest of his reign, and it also makes re-elections cost a lot less. Unfortunately though, it does extend the length of the term, which means I can get, fewer monarch points overall. But I might be able to come up with something later to fix that. Alright, well this war is taking a really long time. All for a little bit of tribute. I'm not even sure if this is all worth it. Ming seems to think so. Remember that time at the beginning when I said, oh, they'll probably have 2,000 by the end of the game? Well, they're a little early. I can't even imagine what it would feel like to try and invade China in this mod pack. And keep in mind, this isn't even late game. This is 1586. They didn't even do anything. They just sat there and let everything tick up slowly. So I looked away for about 10 seconds and looked back and, well, Russia's here. I kind of wanted to colonize this coast myself, but that's not looking so, feasible now. Is what I would say if I weren't super stubborn, so I'm gonna start colonizing it immediately. I've been granted eternal salvation from the Paradox Gods. I can declare war on Kodint and block Russia off entirely. Ah, there we go. Eastern Siberia is now the property of the Azo Republic. And I'm not just gonna let Russia come by and take it from me. Although, with over 200,000 men, they could convince me a little bit. Ah, don't you just love it when the AI is in a war for so long that you start getting monthly war exhaustion? Ah, finally it's over. Yup, and they gave me nothing. Alright, next idea group. I think in this case, I might even want to go with national propaganda ideas. This is one of the new ones added in with the expanded set, and I think I'm gonna want it because this gives a random candidate bonus, I think, to every single time I get a new leader. Another good reason is if I stack it with plutocratic here, then it actually gives me more Republican tradition, as you can see at the very bottom. Ah, here we are. The final struggle for Japan. Well, that was quick. Alright, we've finally united all the islands together. It took a really long time to get here. So as I've been recording for quite a while here, I think I'm probably gonna split this into 2 parts. Recording for 30 hours to make a single video is, not something I'm really willing to do. But 10 hours per video, hey, that's an idea. So that's where things are going to end off today. I think we're going to come back next time to continue turning Azo into the greatest republic the world has ever seen. Of course, if you enjoyed the video, then leaving a like would be super appreciated, and subscribing would be a massive help. This is Quarbit signing off, and as always, have a fantastic day. I'd like to take a second to thank all of the patrons for the month of March, starting with the ones we have in the General tier: Quiet Guy, Brennan Arsenault, Ben Greenhagen, Torvald, Dire Avenger, and Farron. Those we have in the Prince tier: Snow Raven, Rockbox 2020, and Robert Colino. Those we have in the King tier: Chewy Shoot and Natsuki. In the Elector tier, we have TFLJ Martis, and in the Conqueror of Worlds tier, we have The Watcher. Thank you guys so much for your pledges this month. It means a lot to me, and I truly cannot thank you guys enough.